Well, welcome to a little Teal Town Live here to what? It's about that time to eulogize the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, no doubt.
People are going to call us petty. It's, oh, look at these Sharks fans. They're just waiting for. Yes, that's
Yes.
exactly right. That's what we've been doing. Waiting for this moment. The entitlement, the hubris was overwhelming, and it's finally come to an end, at least for this season.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's gonna be a fascinating summer for them. Like, I'm curious to see if Peter DeBoer still has a job tomorrow.
Well, they might
Although
let
I
him
think,
coach one more game.
yeah, I guess if they have a game left, don't they? It's weird, right? Because like even though like the Sharks played yesterday, I watched like other hockey. Like the Vegas game was like the end of the season. Like that's a perfect cap to the season. I don't need anything else.
it
And like I said on the show after, like we know the score. Like yeah, it's the Sharks are bad and they should feel bad. But I don't know, man. Like it's just I'm just more excited for the playoffs to start, and I'm more excited to see like obviously I think now things are kind of set in place except for like obviously the Predators and Dallas still have to sort out where they're going to finish. But other than that, I mean it's all done.
well, I want to see. I want to see what happens just based on your DeBoer comment. We'll just throw that up in there real quick. But uh, look, it would it not be like the all time like McCrimmon move to just be like, yeah, you didn't get us what we want. We're casting you aside whether you should be here or not.
Although I think it's the front office that should probably like I'm not a Peter DeBoer guy, and everyone knows that I'm not a Peter DeBoer guy. But when I look at Vegas, man, I look at their front office. I put this directly on them more than I put it on Peter DeBoer. Like Peter DeBoer is not my favorite coach in the NHL, but Peter DeBoer didn't trade Marc-Andre Fleury. He didn't trade for Jack Eichel. He didn't, you know what I mean? Like
Dude,
it wasn't.
he didn't promise Flurry was going to retire at night. He didn't have a or that. I mean, that
Yeah.
handshake deal that he had with Schmidt, that went out the window. It's yeah, the whole front office. It wouldn't surprise me if I don't know. I mean, but would you seriously make that many moves before the draft and everything?
I mean, I've always said this about Vegas. Like I admire the fact that they are all in, like they are in it to win it every year. Like they go in and like winning is that is it. That is mission one and everything else be damned. I think that in theory works really well. Like obviously that's what you want from your team, but I just think the way they went about it, um, I think that they thought they could use their LTIR situation to their benefit, and that didn't really work out as well as they think they'd like. Because I think, like we said this about Tampa too. Like if you think that they're a better team without Nikita Kucherov, well, there's a bridge in Brooklyn I can sell you, right? I think it's the same thing with the Golden Knights, right? Like they're not a better team without Mark Stone missing all that time. Or, obviously Jack Eichel had his surgery. And I think Jack Eichel's going to get a lot of heat here. And I don't think it's particularly fair. Like, I think he could have, yeah, should he have produced more? Probably. Do I think Jack Eichel's cursed? Like, I really like Jack Eichel. I think he's a really good player, and I don't think he should wear the goat horns here. I don't think this is his fault specifically.
I don't know. A lot of people are looking at him over the last couple of games. I believe there was a clip, like after yesterday's game, where he like goes in to the scrum following the game to where everybody gives each other the stick taps, and they show Eichel kind of half-ass it in and kind of just does the eye roll. And I know it's a convenient narrative. You put that out there to
Yeah,
stir the pot.
well, and you put that out to stir the pot, and it's not even the whole clip, right? Like it's funny because I watched the end of that game, and Jack Eichel probably spent the most time talking to Thompson after that,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think I hate like how social media like and it's the whole thing, right? It's like these short little out of context gotcha moments, right? But that wasn't it. Like, yeah, that looks bad on its own in isolation, but that's not what happened.
Well, who Dom Luszczyszyn earlier, maybe I don't know, 20 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, posted on Twitter. I don't know if you can pull it up, but his I can paraphrase it, something along the lines of, "Do the Knights get further, or I should say, do they make the playoffs if they don't make the deal for Eichel? If they keep Tuck, if they keep Krebs?" I don't know.
I mean, I think losing Tuck hurts. Again, like the problem is when you go all in on all the shiny toys, is it always comes at the expense of your depth.
Yeah.
And I think, look at Vegas's cap situation is an absolute gong show.
Like they're already over next year's cap.
Correct, right? Like it's a gong show, and obviously depth is always going to be the first casualty when you are capped out like that. I mean, if you want to take this and spin this around and talk about the Sharks are in a very similar situation where they have a lot of money. Sharks are in a little different situation because they have a lot of money on players that don't deserve the money they're getting, and that has hurt their depth significantly. I don't think that's the case for Vegas. I think like a lot of those guys are all well paid, but how many, like how many number one guys do you need on a team?
Oh, dude. And see, that's been the funny thing listening to our buddy over at Sinbin and some of the discussions he's had where and there's been others. I think Wyszynski did a small bit about it as well, but it's just been amazing how this team went from a amazing story to see the plucky little team made up of players that nobody wanted, that Vegas got extra picks just to take these guys. Like nobody wanted it. And then you saw this whole idea of like, hey, wait a minute. This is an interesting kind of strategy that rather than have a top line, a second line, a third line, a fourth line, it's like, no, we're just going to have 4 second lines.
Yeah.
Essentially is what it was. But it was that great story that first year. But it seemed like every playoff series that they got beyond, all of a sudden the overconfidence, hubris, the just entitlement started to creep in more and more and more among the team and the fan base, at least in my interactions. And it's just weird that somebody had brought up that usually, you suck for the first couple of years, but by year 5, you want to be good and competitive and be in it. And it's like somehow Vegas managed to do it completely the opposite.
They're doing the reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea that just how do you get players to come here to Vegas? I mean, yeah, you're going to get players because it's one of the teams. Vegas is a great city, but how just I don't even give a shit if you get a no move in full term. Like, how confident are you in your position there when you've seen so many other guys just get sacked because a newer, shinier toy became available? Somebody that does your gig a little bit better is now available, so we're going to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a veteran player, like I ain't doing like I don't want to sign in like a big long-term deal in Vegas. Like I'd come in for like a year or two because I think you look at they're going to sort this out, and I think the Pacific is going to still be kind of a wishy-washy division next year. So Vegas could turn around it and be right back in it next year. But yeah, I mean, especially if I have like a family that I want to, because this is why you get new movement clauses, right? So because you don't want to move your family around all the time and you don't want to deal with that. But I mean, after the way Vegas has kind of conducted themselves, and again, like in one sense, I think if you're a fan, like you can admire the fact that yeah, it's a cutthroat. They treat it like a business. Like there's no loyalty to anyone, right? Like it's a business and it's about winning. So I mean, I think as a Vegas fan, you can probably respect that a little bit, but at the same time, like everyone gets attached to players, right? Like again, to bring this back to the Sharks, like Tomas Hertl. Like I think signing Tomas Hertl and staying the course is the best move for the Sharks? Probably not. But would I be super bummed to see Tomas Hertl in another jersey next year? Absolutely. Right? So I don't know, man.
It's it's oh boy. Again, it's there's no job security there. They are ready to just dump you at the drop of a hat. Even funnier was listening to some people say that they need to do whatever they can do to get rid of Leonard and Brossoit, and the pair next year. They said, like, make a play for Fleury, get him back. Fans love him. They think he loves the city. I'm going, if you're Flower, dude, they already lied to you. They broke their promise. Like, why would you come back? And even if you did, wouldn't you demand like a shit ton of money to do it? And they don't have any.
Think unfinished business, maybe.
Perhaps.
Like, that's the only way I could see it. I mean, he's got like Marc-Andre Fleury's that these are the last year. He's probably got another year left, maybe two if he's lucky, right? So I think, would I balk at a year in Vegas? No, I don't think I would, because again, maybe you feel like you have unfinished business there, and maybe you want to go out. You want to. I think Marc-Andre Fleury is a guy who probably wants to go out and win one more cup before he retires. I mean, all players should want to win one more cup before they retire, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Marc-Andre Fleury, he still seems pretty driven for a guy who's, who knows that the road ahead of him is way shorter than the road behind him at this point.
Yeah. And still talented, would probably be a fantastic mentor for Logan Thompson.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say this too. Like, I like Robin Lehner. I think Robin Lehner's a terrific goalie. I think he was put in a really impossible situation when they moved Fleury, because Fleury was so beloved. Like, I just feel like that is a guy who was put into a crappy situation. I think, again, if you're a player that's trying to figure out where their forever home's going to be, Robin Lehner's another player I'm going to look at and go, against Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's other teams that will be a lot more loyal to you. I really like Robin Lehner. I think how they've treated him is pretty awful. I understand that, again, it's like, it's the impossible situation, right? It's Jamie Baker taking over for Drew Remenda. Jamie Baker did a great job, but he wasn't Drew.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the same, like, I think that's the parallel that I would draw.
Now, do you watch? Let's see how quickly somebody whips open Photoshop, and an hour from now or less, we're going to see a shot of Drew Remenda, sword in his back with Hasselplattner's name on it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but like, I have all the time in the world for Robin Lehner. I think he's a fantastic goalie. And I think that and Logan Thompson's really good too. And I was surprised that Logan Thompson, like, I agree, like, with Vegas fans, like, Brossoit has to go. Like, I don't think Brossoit is a particularly good NHL goalie, period. I'm surprised that it took as long as it did for Logan Thompson to kind of secure the backup job there.
Oh, well, and it wasn't for lack of the fans wanting it, I'll tell you that.
For sure.
That's all I heard about for a long time. But yeah, seeing DeBoer kind of throw Lehner under the bus the way he did, what was that? It was like after, was it the New Jersey game or something? And then puts him back in against Washington, one period, yanks him. And then he's not even good to go, and yet he's the backup versus San Jose. You're going, what the? And if I remember correctly, I think somebody had put it out that, yeah, Lehner actually, they had to do that in order to just get every little drop out of cap circumvention. Correct. Or whatever that they could get. I don't know. I don't understand how DeBoer has a gig in Vegas next season. I don't know how that's going to work. Everybody wants Steve Spott canned, because just like here, they blame him for the piss poor power play. But I mean, dude, 0 for 17 in the shootout. That's not on Thompson, man.
Nope. No, Logan Thompson, again, I think Logan Thompson's a fantastic goalie. I think he should have been the backup all year. Yeah, look at you. That team has guns, man. And if those guns aren't firing, like, I don't know what else Logan Thompson's supposed to do. I think that, the game goes to a shootout 3 games in a row. one on one, like you can't. If you're a Vegas fan and you're laying this on Logan Thompson, I think your hate's in the wrong place.
Yeah, and I'll
I
tell
would
you.
be mad at the guys like Stone or whatever, right?
Well, so last night, who was Vegas playing last night? It's all blurred together for me. Who did Vegas played somebody? Oh, it was Dallas. Duh.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that goes to a shootout. Tonight
Hmm.
goes to a shootout, and I got to tell you, Vegas. It's each one 7 rounds. Not one particular night can score, and I'll tell you the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, did none of you guys watch the Bordelot tape?
Yeah.
Did it like how does Dallas go 7 rounds before scoring? Same thing with the Blackhawks. I'm like, none of you guys watched what Bordelot did because it worked.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it was
it seemed
DeBrinket
like
came close, but
yeah, DeBrinket came close. DeBrinket's so good.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's interesting. I think I feel like a lot of guys were trying to go blocker side tonight, so I think that was kind of what Bartolo did, if I remember correctly, was beat him blocker. So I wonder if that played a factor. But yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Logan Thompson because I think like as like like the shootout's a shitty situation, right? Because it's a one-on-one thing. You don't. I don't like the shootout because you don't lose as a team in the shootout,
mm-hmm.
right? So that's why I don't like the shootout. I mean I'm glad that the NHL hasn't gone to the shootout for something like playoffs or anything like that. Like I don't like international hockey going to the shootout to decide a gold medal, right? Because you don't lose as a team in the shootout. Like it's a one-on-one thing, and it's a cool, like it's exciting to watch, and I get that, but I never been a fan of it deciding championships, and I'm glad that that doesn't happen in the NHL.
God, that would. Oh man, that would I'd lose my shit over that. So I mean, look, it's going to be a lot of changes coming to Vegas. I mean, we already saw the whole shit show with Dadonov.
Hmm.
You, I mean, there's been talk about who is it, Riley Smith getting shown the door.
Well, they have to. I mean, look at
Yeah,
they have to do something. Someone has to go because they're not like what are they over the cap next year? Some probably dumb amount.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, like they're already over the cap next year. Like, how do you pull that off? I think they're the only team that's over the cap next year. But
Get injured? I don't know, man.
I don't. Either way, it's there's going to be a lot of changes coming
Yeah.
towards Vegas. This, I is this the beginning of the downfall? I don't. Since Mark Stone has been returned, he does not look the same. His shots in the
No.
shootout were shit. You saw, I'm sure when Brent Burns fell on him the other night, that didn't feel good. So he's going to have extra time, obviously, this summer to rest his back and try to get that going, but that hasn't looked right. I still maintain that, Eichel, one bad hit, who knows? He had some very delicate surgery. So,
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know. I mean again, I think like that's the concern, I think, but I mean I don't know. I like from what I understand of the surgery is like this will give him a better quality of life down the road.
and that's most important anyway.
And that's the most important thing, right? Because I know a lot of like there's like the neck fusion thing's been done a long time, and a lot of people that have had that surgery are miserable later in life because of the pain that they're in. So I mean, obviously, I hope it works out for Jack Eichel. I look at this team like I mean they're gonna have to trim. There's gonna have to be some trimming, but regardless of like, so you have to send a few contracts out. Like there's still, like I said, there's a lot of talent on this team still, and I would not be shocked if they're right back in it next year.
I wouldn't be shocked if they're in it, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do worse next season. Who knows how many changes are going to come down the pipe, and everybody knows they have to move contracts out. And
Yeah, but GMs are dumb and they help teams like this all the bloody time.
I don't know that you're going to see that. There's everybody knows that Vegas has put themselves in a corner. I don't know that anybody is going to be too quick to hold their hand out to help them out without getting
I don't
something
know.
significant
We
back.
thought the same thing about Chicago, and teams always seem to give Chicago fucking sweetheart deals.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's always Arizona to do something stupid, but I don't know. I think you might see a little bit of a of a no, a second isn't going to do it. We're going to need a first. Oh, you don't have your first? Well, you better come up with something else.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too. That is like they don't have their first round. I don't know. Is their first round? I wonder if it's protected.
It's, if I remember correctly, it's that if
It's a top 10 pick, which it won't be.
yeah, if it's a top 10, it gets
So if
moved out to
they
the
win,
following
okay,
year.
yeah. So if they win the lottery,
Then it moves
then
to
they would
next
retain
season.
their pick.
Yeah, they keep
Okay.
it, but it moves to next season.
Right.
So
Okay.
either way, they don't have a number one pick in either this season or next season. Which, and obviously, if it's next, if something happens, they can try to do something to get it back. I don't know what the hell that would be, but I don't know. Lots of changes coming down Vegas. That could they return and be if you get a fully healthy Stone, a fully healthy Eichel, those guys jive. You get a full season out of Pacioretty. You get a full season, of Petro, and because the injury bug did hit the shit out of them. I mean, but it hit a lot of teams.
Yep.
But it did, brutalize them. So.
Well, but again, that was a mess of their own making though, because they completely screwed up their cap situation where it was like, oh, we need cap space so we can activate Mark Stone. We need cap space so we can activate this guy. And I think that the way that they kind of stumbled through the second half of the season. I mean, I think they've won 2 of their last 8.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 2 of their. Yeah, I believe that is correct. No, they went full Amber Heard on the cap situation, without a doubt. So, I mean, that's when you mess up the bed, you can't blame the dog. But
no.
Anyway, so we look to have our matchups on both sides. I know we're going to wait a little bit longer because if memory serves, there's still a couple things to be determined as in home ice.
Yeah.
So
home ice is still got to be determined. We don't know who's going to finish first and second in the wild cards in the West. If it's going to be
Dallas or Nashville.
Who's going to play Colorado and get completely bodied by them?
Yeah, we don't know who's going to have home ice between Minnesota and St. Louis.
Right.
At this point, has Edmonton locked up home ice? Because there's 4 points ahead, but there's 2 games to be played. I don't know what is the tiebreaker if both teams end up with the same amount of points. Is it wins? Well, then Edmonton has it locked in because they have 47 and LA has 43.
Yeah.
So I guess Edmonton has locked in home ice, so we know how that matchup's going to go. On the Eastern ticket, that's all fait accompli, right? Yeah.
East is sorted, yeah.
But I will tell you though that it does kind of chap my ass a little bit that this isn't 1 through 8, man.
Yeah, I mean it's funny though, right? Because like they did it because they thought they were going to get all these it's funny because it hasn't produced the series that they thought it would produce when they put it in. Yeah. Regulation wins, sorry. Yeah, so they got regulation wins would be the first time.
So it's 38-34. Edmonton still has it locked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think if they go, right now it's Rangers, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Tampa Bay. But if you go back to 1 through 8, it's Tampa versus the Rangers and Toronto versus Boston. I'm sorry, for me, those are more compelling matchups.
Yeah, I think when they first did it, they thought we would get, but then like teams were just garbage for so long, right? Like we thought we were gonna get, all these Edmonton, Calgary, and right, but no, dude, obviously that didn't happen.
Boston, Toronto in the first round would be
Toronto would be a good matchup, right? Like
it'd be epic. It would be huge for ratings. We know the fucking history there. Dude, that would be some epic shit. Instead, right now as it stands, you've got Boston, Carolina, Florida, Washington. Yeah, I mean, those would still be there, obviously, because of the records and everything. But yeah, either way, though, dude, Boston, Toronto, yes, thank you. On the Pacific side, though, anything really change? I mean, you've got Calgary, Dallas. Oh no, that would happen anyway. My bad. So yeah, it would be Minnesota, LA, St. Louis, Edmonton. You know what? Is Minnesota, St. Louis more compelling? Yeah.
Yeah.
and Edmonton and
Yeah, I
LA.
was
So
like
that one works
that's
out.
definitely a that works out. 'Cause that's definitely a rivalry, right? Minnesota St. Louis is absolutely a rivalry. So you definitely get more there. I think Edmonton LA is going to be fascinating.
Which one?
Edmonton LA.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh,
Like
dude.
I think that's going to be fascinating. I don't think it matters. Like whoever plays Colorado. Like I said, whoever's playing Colorado is getting bodied, man.
Oh,
They're going to get
steamrolled.
just steamrolled. It's funny because before the game with Dallas, the Vegas San Jose game, before that, while that game was going on, I was going on about how on Twitter, like about how it was like people would be like, oh, because the Sharks were losing at the time, obviously, and they'd be like, was I was waiting for him to be like, oh, how could the Sharks do this to Joe Pavelski? Like I've just looked at the way Dallas is the definition of backing into the playoffs. They've beaten the Sharks, like their last two wins are against the Sharks and the Kraken. And they lost in overtime tonight to the Coyotes after being up by 3 goals.
Yeah. That one
Like,
was that was
oh,
I couldn't believe that. But you know what though? It's I did think there was a bit of I don't know, the hockey gods getting involved. I don't know if you were paying attention to both games at the same time as I was, but it was like literally as who was the guy who did score for Chicago in the shootout?
that was
By the seventh round, I'm like, I don't even know
yeah,
who
I
this
know.
fucking guy is. So
I'm drawing a
I
blank.
was like, I saw Taze, I saw Kane, I saw DeBrinket, and I'm like, and then they get to the seventh round, I was like, who?
Give me a second, I will tell you.
Yeah. Well, the
It was Tyler Johnson. Yeah, Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson. Okay, so it's like literally right as Johnson scores, I dart my eyes to the other screen, and I see that time is expired in Dallas, and they're going to OT, and I'm like, doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. No.
You know, it's like, whether you score here or not doesn't matter. Whether you keep it going or not doesn't fucking matter. Bye bye. Ah, man. So, I guess that it is what it is. So, with that, look, let's be honest. We just wanted to come on here and get our little jabs in. We've certainly taken our maybe more than enough jabs. We're aware of this season, so we just wanted to come on and just poke the bear a little bit. I'm sure Sinbin will. Well, actually, you know what? I think he's out of rants. I think at this point he's just kind of like, I fucking told you guys 3 months ago this is what was going to happen. So,
Yeah, I mean I don't mind Sinbin. I know Sinbin gets a lot of crap from our fan base, but I
I have no problems with him.
I don't have any issues
No.
there. Like I think like I just because I remember when the Sharks were really good and they would lose and I would come on here and just blow a gasket for no reason. Right? Like so it's like I you can't throw stones in glass houses because there were times when I ranted like and I would give anything to go back to those years now and because again you don't realize the good times when you're in them. And that's definitely true. I think for there too. Like you don't realize how good things are until they're not good.
You're right. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to be interested to see what the how the numbers progress between the record that Buffalo has and the record Vegas has since the Eichel trade, since someone out there is continuously tracking that. I'm sure that's going to change remarkably next season, but
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I mean, like Buffalo at some point, like they have to do something.
dude, it's 11 straight years, right?
Yeah,
Nope.
but it's hard because that division is no joke. Like I
Oh,
think
yeah.
you like a lot of people thought Ottawa like yeah it's hard to be better when you're playing the majority of your games against Tampa, Florida, Toronto. Like it's hard to be, you know what I mean? Like it's a big ask. And the Metro's no better, right? Like I think being a team that has to try and climb into that Metro picture or even the Atlantic picture, like that's a tough ask.
You're right. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. We'll be on the Discord here momentarily. If you guys want to know what that is, hit up at hockey_jerk on the Twitter. He is the chief of chiefing, the dean of the Discord. So hit him up, and he will. We'll see if he gives you the special combination to unlock the door. From here on the YouTube channel, we'll catch you tomorrow. The Sharks play tomorrow, right? Yeah, they do. Yeah,
yeah, they do.
Okay, at Edmonton, and then tomorrow night at Seattle on Friday night. Last two games. We'll see how those work out. I don't even know at this point. I wonder if they're going to go 7-11 again. I just because it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just like I said, I mean, at this point now, like I'm more intrigued by what's gonna. I mean, beating the Oilers would be nice. It's always fun to beat the Oilers. The Kraken, I don't really care. They're so far below us that them pick and win doesn't really change anything. I feel like the Sharks are pretty locked into the 11th spot for draft positioning at this point. So I don't know. It is what it is. I just want the playoffs to start now.
well, I mean, look, what if Anaheim gets a win? If San Jose loses the next two and Anaheim gets a win, then doesn't that help San Jose's but drops them down one? Right now they're both at 76. I don't know. Anaheim looked good. They looked good the other night, I'll tell you that. So with that, join us tomorrow following Edmonton and San Jose. We'll be here for you on After Dark. Same thing following Seattle. Thanks for joining. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here. We'd certainly appreciate it. And we will catch you all tomorrow following Sharks versus Evander Kane and the Edmonton Oilers. Good night for now, or should I say nighty-night.